What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Tuesday, November 28th, 2023, and I have an emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now, it is 12:57 p.m. Eastern Time here in the United States, and we have some major breaking news coming in from the Middle East, from the Baltic region, from Asia, and from South America. I want to just start with this video footage here, which was released by Iran, and this footage was taken from Iranian intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance drones that flew over a U.S. aircraft carrier strike group operating in the Persian Gulf. This is the USS Dwight Eisenhower carrier strike group. And what you see here is actually the USS Dwight Eisenhower. And this thing was dispatched a few weeks ago to the Persian Gulf when the war in Gaza started. And what's interesting is that they positioned this aircraft carrier strike group right off the coast of Iran. So basically, all of Iran is within striking distance of all of the weapons that this aircraft carrier strike group can bring to bear, which includes multiple Tomahawk missile warships, fighter jets, and missile defense systems. Okay, so this is a massive force right off the coast of Iran. And I actually punched in the coordinates that are on this video here. You can see 26 degrees, 11 minutes north, and 56 degrees, 45 minutes to the east. And it shows up as right in the Strait of Hormuz. So this video was taken somewhere over here. So I'll just zoom out so you can see better. So here we have Saudi Arabia, here we have Iran, and this carrier strike group is basically right in the Strait of Hormuz as of 11/26/2023, assuming that this video is not altered in any way. You can see the date here, 11/26/2023. So 2 days ago, this thing was in the Strait of Hormuz, and U.S. CENTCOM announced that the carrier strike group transited through the Strait of Hormuz just a few days ago. So whether it's still in the Persian Gulf, we don't know. It could be in the Gulf of Oman or it could be in the Persian Gulf. But either way, it doesn't matter. Basically, all of Iran is within striking distance of all those Tomahawk missiles that the associated warships have in this carrier strike group. Okay, so this is absolutely insane. We also have some major breaking news coming in from Israeli radio, and they're reporting that the Israeli government and Israeli society will soon be presented with a proposal which will include the release of all hostages held by Hamas, including Israeli soldiers, in exchange for an end to the war. So basically, this would be a permanent ceasefire. Israel would have to stop their military operation and lay down their weapons, and in return, all of the hostages would be released unharmed. So this is major breaking news. This was reported by Israeli radio, okay? So we'll have to wait and see if this happens. The Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, is not one to cave in. He's made it very clear that he's going to see this operation to the end. Same thing with Yoav Gallant, the defense minister. So we'll have to wait and see. But this is huge news, guys, okay? And Finland will completely close its border with Russia starting midnight on November the 30th. That's in just 2 days. And during this closure period, any crossing of Finland's eastern land border will be impossible. This is being reported by the Finnish Interior Minister Marie Ratanen, and refugees will now only be able to apply for asylum at ports and airports. This is being reported by the Finnish Ministry of Internal Affairs, and Sweden supports Finland's decision to close several border crossings in response to a recent surge of migrants and asylum seekers from Russia. Swedish Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson said during his official visit to Helsinki recently. Okay, so Finland is going to be completely closing their land border with Russia starting midnight in 2 days. And the only way anybody can get across is if they have proper documentation. If they're asylum seekers, they can only apply for asylum at ports and airports. Okay, massive news, guys. The situation between Finland and Russia is deteriorating, it's escalating, relations are getting worse, and just the whole Baltic region, Poland, Kaliningrad, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, Finland, the whole Baltic region right now is a tinderbox. Okay, Russia has been moving equipment into Kaliningrad for the last 2 years. They've positioned over 50,000 troops in Western Belarus. They've moved tactical nuclear weapons into Belarus, which puts Poland and all the Baltic region within striking distance. They have Iskander missile systems. They have hypersonic missiles that they can launch from Belarusian fighter jets with nuclear warheads attached to them. So the Baltic region is a tinderbox, guys. We have to keep an eye on it. And The Hill, the news agency, The Hill, or the magazine, I don't know what you want to call it. The Hill is reporting that the Biden administration is issuing warnings to Israel over the next phase of its military operation in Gaza, saying a campaign in the southern Gaza Strip must not be carried out to the same level of destruction as took place in the northern part of the Gaza Strip. The administration is proposing that Israel agrees to areas of deconfliction, which is to include United Nations facilities and shelters that would not be subject to active military fighting, a senior administration official said in a call with reporters Monday night. You cannot have the same sort of scale of displacement that took place in the north replicated in the south, the official said as part of a call discussing efforts to scale up humanitarian aid to the Gaza Strip. So this is huge news, guys. Absolutely huge. The Biden administration is putting pressure or issuing warnings to Israel not to displace more civilians in the southern Gaza Strip, because Israel said that their next phase of the operation is to go into the southern Gaza Strip and go after Hamas over there. Okay, so Biden is basically afraid that it's going to look like Israel is conquering Gaza and annexing it. And he wants to avoid that, obviously, because that could escalate into regional war. And obviously, Biden doesn't want that. So this is huge news, guys. Absolutely huge. And a mystery pneumonia outbreak sweeping through China continues to get worse as desperate parents are clutching onto their children on hospital floors. Kids are being hooked up to life-saving IVs as China continues to downplay the dangers almost a week after issues started. And I'm not justifying what Biden is doing by any means, okay? Israel has the right to go into southern Gaza and do what they need to do. Okay, they need to clear out Hamas. Okay, that's what they're going to do. But it seems like the Biden administration is trying to play to both sides for political purposes, because next year there's a huge election coming up. Okay, so they on one side don't want to alienate the Jewish Democrats, and on the other side they don't want to alienate the pro-Palestine Democrats. So Biden is basically trying to play both sides and kind of look like, he's the middleman, so to speak. He's helping Israel, but he's also trying to help Palestine and look like he's also pro-Palestine. It's impossible to play both sides. He's going to have to pick one side. And the mystery pneumonia outbreak in China continues to get worse as parents are clutching onto their children on hospital floors. Kids are being hooked up to life-saving IVs as China continues to downplay the dangers almost a week after issues started. Doctors have been left overwhelmed with thousands of calls from worried parents trying to book emergency appointments. China has told the World Health Organization that the increase in cases of people with flu-like symptoms is due to a new winter bug that has taken over. Hospitals are reportedly overwhelmed with sick children who have symptoms such as inflammation in the lungs and a high fever but no cough. A similar situation is developing in Liaoning, almost 500 miles from Beijing. Officials have reported an increase in influenza like illness since mid October when compared to the same period in the last 3 years, the WHO said. Children are now showing ground glass opacity, also known as white lung syndrome, in lung scans, an indicator of severe respiratory illness. Many parents are deeply worried about white lungs, and many sick children need lung cleansing. So, this is crazy, guys. There's some kind of a weird outbreak going on in China, and it's causing white lung syndrome, severe respiratory illness among children. Very strange. It honestly almost seems like it could be a bioweapon of some kind that maybe leaked out or was released on purpose. Who knows? But it seems to be mostly targeting kids. So this is very, very concerning. And we also have some breaking news coming out from Japan. Apparently, Russia notified Japan of the termination of the agreement on cooperation in nuclear weapons reduction. And this agreement is set to expire on May 21st, 2024, so just in a couple of months. So Russia does not want to continue with this nuclear weapons reduction agreement they have with Japan. And many people have suspected for years that Japan has a very small nuclear arsenal. It's very likely that they do. We do know that Japan has enriched uranium and they also have ballistic missiles. So all they would have to do is just put that enriched uranium into warheads and then put the warheads on top of missiles. But many people suspect Japan has a small nuclear arsenal similar to how Israel has their nuclear arsenal, but Japan just keeps it secret because of all the different treaties that Japan signed with the US after World War II. They're not allowed to have certain weapons and so on. So this is very, very concerning, guys. Okay, it looks like Russia is going back in time to the Stalin era. Okay, Putin is bringing Russia back to the Stalin days. Okay, he's vetoing and canceling all these arms reduction treaties with Europe, NATO, and now Japan. They've already canceled the nuclear test ban treaty. They've already canceled the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty. They've canceled the treaty that limits conventional forces in Europe, which was the treaty that they signed during the height of the Cold War to prevent a buildup of tanks and heavy weapons on either side of the Iron Curtain, so there wasn't a massive land war. They've pulled out of the START Treaty, which limited nuclear weapons and nuclear weapons delivery systems and the total number of warheads and total number of delivery systems. This was signed by Obama and Putin 15 years ago. So Russia's pulling out of all of these treaty, guys. It's not a good sign at all. And now they're pulling out of one with Japan. And before I continue with the breaking news, I want to mention the sponsor for this emergency update, which is Patriot Supply. Guys, Patriot Supply has brought back their 25% discount on their 3-month emergency food supply. And this 3-month emergency food supply has a 25-year shelf life, and it's contained within 6 rugged, water-resistant buckets. So this 3-month food supply doesn't take up a lot of space. Pretty much anybody can find the space to fit 6 buckets. Even if you live in a studio apartment in downtown Manhattan, you can fit 6 buckets in a closet somewhere. And free shipping is included. So to get the deal, you have to go to preparewithnyprepper.com. The link is in the description below this video. Preparewithnyprepper.com to get 25% off of the Patriot Supply 3-month emergency food supply, 25-year shelf life. And Patriot Supply is also doing a Cyber Monday sale, and it's still ongoing today. And to get to that Cyber Monday sale, when you get to my page, preparewithnyprepper.com, you go to the top and you click on the My Patriot Supply logo, and it'll take you to the My Patriot Supply General Store. And here you'll see Cyber Monday sale, and they're doing really good sales on a variety of products, from solar power banks, solar generators, survival seeds, canned heat, fire starters, MREs, you name it. They're doing flash sales. I actually just purchased some more emergency food for myself. Okay, so check it out. Preparewithnyprepper.com to get 25% off of the My Patriot Supply 3-month emergency food supply. And we have some concerning information coming in from Syria. What you're looking at here is video footage that was posted by a Syrian news outlet, and it shows the Russian military operating right on the border with Israel. And this is being done in coordination with the president of Syria, Bashar al-Assad. Russia is setting up checkpoints on the Syria-Israel border near the Golan Heights, which is the location where the Israeli Air Force has been firing missiles at the Damascus airport from. Okay, so the Israeli Air Force, they fly over the Golan Heights, and that's where they launch their missiles from when they attack the Syrian targets. Okay, so this is like coming right out of the Bible, guys. The Bible says in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 38 and 39, that a large coalition of Middle Eastern countries, along with Russia, North African countries, and possibly Asian countries, come together in the end times, and they invade Israel after a peace treaty. And look at this, guys. There's literally Russian flags here right on the border with Israel. This is insane. This is like Bible prophecy unfolding right in front of our eyes. Look at these flags, Russian flags on trucks going right towards the Israeli border. Absolutely insane, guys. And the CIA director, Bill Burns, will meet with the Mossad director, David Barnea, and the Qatari prime minister in Doha today to discuss a possible second extension of the Israel-Hamas truce. This is being reported by Axios. And the Israeli army is reporting that this morning 3 explosive devices were detonated adjacent to IDF troops in the Gaza Strip, violating the framework of the operational pause. In one of the locations, terrorists also opened fire at Israeli troops, who responded by firing back. A number of soldiers were lightly injured during the incidents. In both incidents, the troops were located in positions as per the framework of the operational pause. All right, so Hamas is violating the terms of the pause. They're launching ambushes on Israeli forces with IEDs and with small arms, okay? And Israel launched an artillery strike on southern Lebanon today. Here's a picture of that. You can see a big plume of smoke here. And what you're looking at here is the approximate locations of all of our carrier strike groups. You can see the Dwight Eisenhower carrier strike group in the Persian Gulf here. You can see the USS Ronald Reagan carrier strike group in Japan. And then the Carl Vinson is right off the coast of the Korean Peninsula. So we have 2 aircraft carrier strike groups in the Korea-Japan area. And then we have 2 in the Middle East. Okay, we have 1 in the Eastern Mediterranean, 1 in the Persian Gulf. So the U.S. is basically focused on the Middle East and Asia right now. That seems to be what they're most worried about based on the locations of their carrier strike groups. And the situation with Venezuela and Guyana is very, very concerning. What you're looking at here is a picture showing all of the offshore oil and gas platforms near Venezuela and Guyana, and you can see that a lot of them fall within Guyana's territory. Okay, you can see the ExxonMobil, Hess, and a bunch of others have drilling platforms off the coast of Guyana. And so if Venezuela tries to invade Guyana and take the Essequibo region, which is basically like the western 2/3 of Guyana, it's very likely that the US is going to have to get involved to protect all these platforms here. Look at all these platforms off the coast of Guyana. There's like probably 100 of them. Okay. So this is another flashpoint we have to worry about now, guys. It looks like all hell is breaking loose around the world. As soon as Russia invaded Ukraine, it just opened the gates of hell, basically. Okay. After Russia invaded Ukraine, now you have Hamas and Israel. Now you're going to have Venezuela and Guyana. Soon it's going to be Belarus and Poland, maybe. North Korea and South Korea, China, Taiwan. I mean, the list goes on and on. So things are getting crazy out there, guys. Make sure you're getting prepared. Make sure you stock up on everything you need. Check out the Patriot Supply discount that I have. And apparently, Ukraine is shelling the left bank of Kherson recently. And it looks like Ukraine is really focusing on that left bank in Kherson. And the left bank is basically on the eastern side of the Dnipro River in southern Ukraine, just north of Crimea. Ukraine has already established several bridgeheads there, and now they're pounding that area with artillery to get the Russian forces out of there. And apparently there was damage to a power substation on the left bank from Ukrainian shelling. Either that was intentional or on purpose. We don't know. Maybe on purpose. Maybe they're trying to knock out the power so the Russians don't have power over there. But apparently the Kakhovka 330 kilovolt substation was damaged during the shelling. And Russian President Vladimir Putin spoke at the plenary session of the World Russian People's Council. And I want to read to you some of the main points from what he said. He said Russia's fight for sovereignty and justice is a struggle for national liberation. Russia is leading the way in creating a more fair world order. Russophobia and other forms of racism and neo-Nazism have become the official ideology of Western elites. What is happening in Ukraine is not only targeting Russians, but all people of Russia. Western countries do not want a unified Russia. They aim to divide and exploit it. The Russian people will not allow anyone to divide our nation. We are unified. Russia sees any external interference in its affairs as aggression and will respond accordingly. The rich diversity of Russian cultures does not align with the Western perspective, which is driven by a desire for exploitation. Russia's strength lies in its diversity. It is a collective asset that must be protected. Modern Russia is reclaiming and enhancing its sovereignty as a global power. Without Russians as an ethnic group, there can be no Russia or Russian world. Russians are more than just a nationality. They represent a cultural and historical identity. We express our gratitude to entrepreneurs for their coordinated efforts. Thanks to the collaboration between the state and business, Western sanctions blitzkrieg failed. The development of the Russian Federation should also prioritize fair wages for doctors, teachers, and talented professionals. In the West, there is a trend of abolishing liberal arts education, which leads to the decline of culture. Strengthening families and preserving the diverse peoples of Russia is a long-term national responsibility. It is the future of the Russian world. Overcoming the challenging demographic issues faced by the Russian Federation requires more than just financial resources. Moral values are essential. So, very lengthy speech here by Putin, as usual. And apparently, North Korean state media said on Saturday that leader Kim Jong-un reviewed images taken by North Korea's new spy satellite of major target regions, including the U.S. military base at Pearl Harbor and also various military bases across South Korea. And we have some breaking news coming in from Myanmar. Apparently, 3 Chinese Navy ships have arrived in Myanmar for joint drills as rebel groups are advancing strains in ties between China and the Myanmar government. A destroyer, a frigate, and a supply vessel carrying hundreds of Chinese sailors arrived at the Thalawa port on Monday ahead of naval security exercises between Myanmar and China. The Myanmar government has said that the rebel groups are using drones made in China in their offensive that has seized trade hubs and dozens of military outposts in the northern Shan state. On Saturday, China kicked off military exercises near the Myanmar border days after an attack on a compound in the Myanmar border hub of Muse destroyed more than 100 vehicles. Okay, so very tense situation there with Myanmar and China. And in Sierra Leone, there was a failed military coup recently. Apparently, some military officers were arrested after a failed coup. So, very interesting situation there. And what you're looking at here is a map showing the presence of Chinese private military contractors in Africa. And you can see a lot of African countries have Chinese military contractors. This is insane, guys. It's like at least half of Africa has Chinese private military contractors. They're probably after the gold. They're probably after various types of resources and land. So that's the latest information that I have, guys. I will be back later on this evening with another emergency update. So make sure you're subscribed. Hit the bell icon below so you can get notified when I post these emergency updates. And I will be going live sometime this week, possibly tonight. I'll let you guys know. And I will be doing the 100,000 subscriber celebration stream probably Saturday. And I will be doing a giveaway on Saturday as well for fire starters and also solar generators from Alps. So until next time, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.